Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Use that CHGO code when you sign up to live your bet life. Luke Stuckmeyer here, and we're bringing you an emergency Saturday podcast because we've finally seen baseball players out at Sloan Park, and the Cubs are starting to slowly trickle in and report. Cody Delmendo is at home. Ryan Herrera is out in Arizona, the lucky bugger. Man, I can't believe it. How he weaseled into this 80 degrees. He's going to be doing a lot of our written content this year, and we'll do a great job, obviously. But Ryan, I mean, you drew the best straw on this one. You've got warm weather, and it's like 15 degrees in Chicago right now. So congratulations.
Hey, I can't complain about being in 80-degree weather.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I apologize up front if I'm going to be spotty. The Wi-Fi spotty here, so you're going to see me coming in and out. Everyone just hang with us. I'm going to do my best to report what I've seen today.
Sounds good. So it's going to be like you're going in and out of the bar, like you're coming back to the bar every once. So just jumping in a conversation, and when we have you, we have you. When we don't, we don't. Since we have you right now, let's just talk about, first of all, yesterday's signing. We did the podcast and we were talking a lot about Carlos Correa. He still hasn't signed with anybody yet, but the Cubs, almost as soon as we finished the live podcast yesterday on Friday, was the Andrelton Simmons signing for $4 million. Obviously, he's a very good defensive shortstop. He hasn't been very good and had one of his worst seasons at the plate last year. Cody, what did you think of the signing when you saw it yesterday?
Well, we were both standing next to each other. I think we were looking at Corey's phone. It was right after we did yesterday's podcast, and we were all, hyping ourselves up about Carlos Correa. So whenever you hear about the Cubs signing Andrelton Simmons for 1 year, $4 million, it was kind of a buzzkill. But I think overall, though, like after I thought about it for a little bit, I was like, I don't think this is going to stop the Cubs from, still pursuing a guy like Carlos Correa or even Trevor Story. Last year, the Cubs really didn't have a backup to Javi Baez. I think this is a really nice depth piece. I know they got Horner and they got Madrigal, but in my opinion, I mean, injuries happen. I think this is just a really nice depth piece. And at the very least, this is a guy you could bring in late innings as a defensive replacement, not just at shortstop, but probably all across the infield, except for catcher and first base. So I don't know too much about him, but yeah, I mean, sounds like he's an elite shortstop, like top tier, defensively at least. As far as that goes, I mean, I can't be upset about it. I know a lot of people overreacted on Cubs Twitter a lot to it last night, but I think as time goes on and we see what the Cubs do the rest of the offseason or the rest of the next couple weeks, we'll see how that deal shapes out, because right now I don't really have a reaction to it except for that I just think it's a nice depth piece, and I hope it's not their replacement for not getting Correa or Story.
Right. Well, Corey brought up a good point during the Friday's podcast as well, just with talking about Simmons. We didn't know he was signing with the Cubs at that point, but pointing out that, you have all these ground ball pitchers, and the Cubs have to get better defensively, especially up the middle. And so if nothing else, like you said, maybe this is a late inning thing. Maybe he's out there when certain pitchers are on the mound. His metrics are like number one as defensive shortstop, and they're like about as bad as you can get for hitting shortstop. So we don't know what this means. That's just kind of the crazy part. I think the way we watch the offseason now has completely changed, and because everybody has access to the information quickly and then can react to it quickly, I think the initial response was like, what? There were a lot of people firing off on Cubs Twitter, and I think that's the normal reaction usually.
Of course it is.
People like to be angry, but
yeah,
we just don't know. Like if they go out and sign Correa, you're not going to care that they have a great defensive replacement. So let's give them a little time, and we'll talk about that time in a bit. Ryan, you're out there today, and I guess the big story really was Stroman throwing that bullpen session. We'll get that in a second, I guess. But what else did you see out there this morning?
You're there, man. Go
Are we
ahead.
back? Are we back?
He's back. He's back. We
All
got
right,
him.
all right. Say that again, Luke.
I was just
Sorry.
saying, obviously we'll get to Stroman in a second. That was the big story, his bullpen session. But who else did you see out there today?
Oh well, yeah, you mentioned Marcus Stroman. He's out there. I know, good Frank Schwindel, and Nico Horner were a couple of the guys taking batting practice on one of the main fields. Schwindel was over at first base trying to, taking infield practice. But I saw Kyle Hendricks like stretching in the training room and stuff like that. But really, it's just like, it's very, players aren't reporting till tomorrow anyway. So it's very just kind of, I don't know how, I don't know the structure, but it's not like these guys are batting here at this time. These guys are playing catch or throwing bullpens over here at this time. It's very kind of fluid, I think, right now. It should probably get more structured as far as like who's where and who's doing what every day, especially.
We lost him, I think.
We lost him, but it's just another strange spring training, if you will, out in Arizona, because a lot of times, okay, so let's say they're not reporting now till they don't have to be there till Sunday. The first workout's not going to be till Monday, but in a normal year, these players, Anthony Rizzo and those guys would show up sometimes 2-3 weeks, even a month before spring training. They'd already be in Arizona. So this is obviously very different. You had the minor league players out in Arizona already, and now you have the major league players scrambling from all over the world trying to get to Mesa, Arizona. So, I mean, I'm assuming not everybody's there in the first place. Do we have Ryan back now? Ryan,
Yeah, he's back now.
You got me?
We got you. So I was just saying, it's a weird year, right? Like a lot of times guys would have all been there multiple weeks before they had to report. Now it's a scramble.
Yeah, no, it's very everyone, because you give them like 3 days since the lockout ended, and everyone's just trying to go all over the place across the country in some cases, and like you said, some international players maybe even trying to get all over the place. So yeah, it's very tricky situation, and that's kind of why I think the structure is a little more fluid right now over the weekend.
Yeah, I like Joel's comment here. He says, "Hi fellas, a lot of Simmons' defensive metrics on Fangraphs look like they took a big dip in the last 2 years. I have to admit, I've never watched him play as a Twin. Is he still an elite defender?" Like I said earlier, I haven't watched him much at all either. So, when you get pinned as a defensive guy, I think you that's something you ride with until it doesn't show that you can do it anymore, man. And if the numbers have dipped a little, then I'm sure he's still pretty good. At least I feel like you can say the same thing about Jason Hayward as he's gotten older. That's what I can tell you at the current moment. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's my take. I mean, again, I don't think Simmons is going to be the starting shortstop on opening day. I don't know how you feel about that, Ryan, but do you guys have any thoughts on his comment?
I just know that he's, I remember him coming up with the Braves, Simmons, and he was, like a hot prospect. It was a big deal when he came up for the Braves, just like Jason Hayward. And, some guys just don't develop into the player, the full, complete player that you think. But, I mean, there's always a place on your team for somebody up the middle that has a great glove, somebody defensively in the final innings that can give you some flexibility there and lock down a win. There's always a place for that guy on a major league roster. And especially if he's, top 3-4 guys at that position in baseball. And it's something that the Cubs need, because we know that if you can put Nico Horner, even if Nico played short at halfway through the game or in the 7th or 8th inning, you could shift him over to second where he is a plus defender. Now you've made your defensive game much better for the the last couple innings or the last inning or whatever it might be, if Nico's up for that. So we were saying I don't feel like it's a crazy signing. It's not like they spent a ton of money to go do it. It's not going to stop them from doing anything else. So now it's just the waiting game though for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to listen back on this and see how many times I cut out. The podcast is going to be hilarious when I listen back. As far as Simmons, I wanted to comment on Simmons. Just like you guys have been kind of saying, like 1 year, $4 million. That's not shortstop of the future, shortstop for a contender money right there. It's not a contract you pay a guy you're expecting to be a championship shortstop or lead your team, whatever. Like you guys have been saying, it might be just, defensive guy, a veteran to have on the team, just a guy to, insurance policy, injuries, whatever happens. 1 year, $4 million isn't going to break the bank. So I don't think that takes you out of conversations for any other free agents around the league.
Right. I think we forgot to mention too, like after Ken Rosenthal broke that news, I think he sent a tweet right after that, shortly after, saying, the signing doesn't stop the Cubs from going after Carlos Correa or Trevor Story or, guys at that caliber either, because they made that move. So, again, I just think a lot of people on Cubs Twitter overreacted a lot there. And, people are like, well, why aren't the Cubs doing anything? Well, no one's doing anything. I know we're going to get to that here in a little bit, but I think I hold that with a little bit of optimism as well. Is like we've seen a few moves today, but nothing major. A lot of big names still out there. So,
including Correa, you saw that John Heyman was on the radio in New York basically saying the Yankees weren't going to give him $300 million. So, there might come a point where he has to back off the $300 million request. I don't know. I don't know what the Cubs bar is at, like as far as what they would pay him. I don't know how many years they would give him if that's something they're looking into, how far they would go. But it's the longer it goes, potentially those numbers could be coming back towards the Cubs. So if you stay in the game and you stay interested, you get a little help with Simmons. It's not a bad thing. It gives you a little flexibility for now. And it because of the money you spent on him, it still keeps you in the game for Correa. If the number, maybe the numbers are too high right now, but that doesn't mean they aren't going to creep back a little closer to the Cubs reality when that point comes. So, hey, you can still keep your fingers crossed for Carlos Correa. As far as Marcus Stroman, that was the big bullpen. Ryan, you got some good video out there, and he was there. And that's a guy that I don't know if I've ever seen a Cubs player come in and verbally be so excited about being on the team. Like this offseason, he's been real clear that he's thrilled to be a member of the Cubs. So what did he look like in that bullpen session?
Yeah, the bullpen, I think it was his first bullpen of just since he got down there. So it was just kind of throwing the glove over, letting what pitch. It was very, very relaxed and but he had the velocity. It looked good. I didn't get a chance to talk to him afterwards, but he was in great spirits afterwards. So I don't know if that bullpen was like, I need to get every single pitch down, where it needs to be or whatever. But he's just like, it's spring training starting. Let's kind of get back into the swing of things. Everyone was out there watching. Tommy Hotovy was there. Rick Sutcliffe was there. Everyone's smiles on their face, and he was all smiles too. So, Stroman obviously is happy to be on the Cubs. Apparently, like you said, I haven't seen someone come in like that and just be so verbal about how much they are excited to be on the Cubs. So
I think I saw a tweet on Twitter, or it was a video. I want to say it was Jordan Bastian from MLB.com. He asked him about the tweets trying to recruit Correa.
Oh yeah, right.
I thought those were pretty. His replies were pretty interesting.
Yeah, here's the quote that was out there. He said, "I'm just doing my pitch on Twitter, man. Everyone thinks I have insider info, but I have no insider info. I'm just trying. It's always good to put that out there, that good energy. You know what I mean? So, we've been saying for a couple of days, man, I think he knows something. He must know something. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? He claims it's just, he's just trying to put that good energy out there, and there's no reason not to try and recruit a good player. So he was having fun with it, but I'm sure he knew when he got to Arizona, if Correa wasn't signed, that everybody would be peppering him with a question like, what do you know, man? Like, why all the tweets? What gives? So apparently he doesn't have inside info, but we can always hold out hope that he does, and he's just not telling us.
And again, I still think that a big part of him signing with the Cubs was because they told him that they plan on being competitive. So he may not have insider info on if Carlos Correa is coming, but I think he definitely knows that the Cubs are out there doing something to make this team competitive. So, whatever is going to make the fans feel better who's listening. take those two things with solace, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of cool to see the video that's been out there and the photos coming in of him in a Cubs uniform, and it's sort of surreal to see. It's not somebody I ever going into this offseason. I didn't think that they were going to get Marcus Stroman. I didn't think that was going to happen. I think it actually caught most Cubs fans and a lot of media members by surprise a little bit. It was they were starting slow, and all of a sudden they hit you with that before the lockout. And I think I think most people were surprised by the Stroman signing, and it's certainly a good thing. He's a great pitcher, and I feel like he's going to bring a great energy to Wrigley Field too.
Yeah, no, I remember, those last couple days. I remember, the Cubs, they had signed Frazier and brought back Hermosillo and, picked up Wade Miley off waivers and a few other small things, but nothing like major. And we were seeing a few, especially on the pitching side, we saw a bunch of big names fall off the board. And obviously going in the offseason, we knew the starting rotation was a big thing. We knew that if the Cubs were planning on competing, they needed a top of the rotation type guy. And, Stroman, there was like this small rumor that was thrown out there like a week before. No one really took it seriously. And, that's why right now I'm not really scared. It's like they signed Stroman out of nowhere. I mean, I feel like the same thing's going to happen with another one of these big names that are out there. I mean, unless Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan just is in the room or something, you know what I mean? But I think it's going to, if it's Correa or whoever, I think it's going to be kind of out of nowhere. I know we're all expecting something, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a big name that we're not expecting. Hopefully it's a big name that we would all be excited about, of course. But, to me, I feel like it's going to happen when I'm either sleeping or, when I'm just kind of like my hopes have gone down a little bit or something.
Ryan, I don't know if you heard. Did you hear about this in Arizona? There's been big news here in Chicago too, and that was that I won my first legal bet on PointsBet. I did. There's been a lot of buzz about it on Twitter. I want to show everybody what I used the PointsBet app with the help of Cody yesterday, and let me show you what Grandpa Stucky got, huh?
There you go, Grandpa Stucky. Let's go.
Fresh readers from Walgreens. That's what $9.09 profit gets you on your first bet right there. Bet 10 and won $9.09, I believe.
There we go.
Shout out to Michigan State covering 3 points. It was never a doubt.
Good call, Cody. I'll be looking for another one tonight, by the way, because I do have the PointsBet app now, and because I'm batting 1,000, I feel like house money. I might as well go for it tonight.
Exactly, and like Luke said, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker room. #dope merch. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlay for the first time ever. Build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app just like Luke did, and Ryan, and me, and everyone else here at CHGO. You can download it right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
CHGO, we've been having a lot of fun. We've been up over a week now. We've got, in case this is their first time they're listening to the podcast or checking out allchgo.com or first time checking out our YouTube channel, which, that's where you get the highest quality video for these podcasts. We've got podcasts and live shows every day, every team. We have post-game shows for every team, every game, premium written content. That's why he's out in Arizona. He's going to have all kinds of stuff for you. We have other team members bringing in content for you about the Cubs and your other Chicago sports teams every day. That's all at allchgo.com. We've got the dope merch for all the teams out there for you. We're starting to get some new shirts in. I know some people have ordered them already, and hopefully they start trickling in to your houses. We're looking forward to seeing those. I've got one ordered myself, and you get a free t-shirt when you become a member. So that's cool. And there's a members only Discord with the CHGO Lounge. So let us know what you like. Let us know what you would like to see more of coming up. But 7 days in, I think we're having a lot of fun, and this podcast has been a lot of fun. I saw this note yesterday, and we didn't talk about it, but MLB now saying that next season every team will play every team at least once. So the schedule's going to change a little bit more. It sounds like there's going to be a lot more interleague play. I'm just curious what you guys thought of that. Kevin Kaduk was like, no. And then other people on Twitter today were like, yes. How do you guys feel about, spreading it out so everybody plays everybody in a major league season? I mean, it seems like you're almost going towards no divisions is the way it's starting to feel a little bit.
Yeah, at first I didn't know what to think about, like the interleague, just the every team playing each other. But I like it. I do like it because we talked about before how regional of a sport baseball has, like how it is. You got people in Chicago care about Cubs or White Sox, but outside of that, maybe they don't. And it's a lot of places. Every area has their own little regional teams they like to see. And it's not, the NBA and NFL, they do it a lot differently. It doesn't feel like a regional sport, but for baseball, it is. I think I saw someone say it earlier. Think about Mike Trout coming to play at Wrigley Field or on the South Side or wherever he is. He goes to New York, he goes to Florida to play the Marlins, whatever it is. Mike Trout should be the face of baseball, right? He's probably the best player in the majors right now. And now you're having him go everywhere. He's not just kind of staying in his division or the teams that the Angels play. That he's going to face every team, going to be in every city every year. And I think that just kind of helps expand, that star. Everyone knows Mike Trout's a star, but he's not a household name, maybe he is, but we all know who Mike Trout is. But
globally, he's not popular.
Not every American knows who Mike Trout is. Yeah. Every American knows who LeBron James is, and that's because LeBron James goes into every NBA city. There's a lot of reasons. They do a better job of promoting their players, but I never thought about that. Maybe this is a promotion. It is part of that where they're trying to promote the players a little bit more and get the big name guys into big name cities all the time if they're not necessarily playing there.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a barnstorming tour, like from way back when MLB no TV, maybe slight radio, but like they're just trying to get the stars out there, trying to get Babe Ruth known around America. Kind of feels like that. You're getting these guys that are stars, especially where they're at. You're getting them all over the country. You're taking them on tour all over the country, and maybe that helps build those stars. And maybe that helps MLB push their individual stars that baseball has and wants to promote a little more.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you make good points. I will say I like it as just a pure baseball fan because I'm, I don't know about you guys, but I have the bucket list of going to every ballpark one day.
Yeah.
I've been to 8 of them. So, if the Cubs are going to like Seattle and they don't go, most of my life, they don't go to Seattle every year, then, if they start doing this every year, then I can plan that out or something, you know what I mean? Or fans can plan that out. So that from that aspect, in my eyes, it's cool. I guess one negative thing is like, if they're going to do that, then I would assume that division, like teams won't play teams in their division as many times as they do. And I feel like that affects, if whether you win your division or not, you know what I mean? And those games are very important. We talk about those all the time going into series and stuff. That to me, that's the only negative thing about it is like, okay, so I guess you'll play teams in your division, we play them 20 20 games each, close to it at least.
I don't know how much that cuts it in
I would
half.
assume they would cut that in half. You know what I mean?
Least,
I don't know.
right?
So that I could, if that's Kevin's reason to why maybe he wasn't a fan of it, I mean, that would be my reason too. But as far as like, kind of like what you guys said is growing the game, or, as a fan being able to go to different ballparks to go see your favorite team now, like that's awesome. I am interested to see how they will be able to do that while also not really affecting how teams can compete in the division. And, as much as I don't want to go watch the Cubs play the Pirates 20 games a year, it is nice when it comes to winning the division, Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like,
it's beneficial. It's beneficial to play the Pirates that many times a year.
I like Cody's, you said about, being able to go to all these different parks to see your favorite team, parks they don't go to. The Cubs are supposed to go to New York, play at Yankee Stadium this year. I don't remember the last time they played at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees, right. And on the flip side, the Yankees haven't been to Wrigley since like 2012, something like that, 2011.
I think they were there in 2017.
Like, were they? Okay,
yeah.
I went to one of those games in 2011, but still, it's like that's so many years in between.
You get to see them every year this way.
Yeah, you get to see them every year, and then that that
maybe the tickets for those types of games when they, like, for instance, the Red Sox are coming to Wrigley this year. I'm sure that those prices are going to be heightened because the Red Sox don't come to Wrigley every year. And obviously they're, a premier team in baseball that's very popular. Like that's like the Cubs will take that chance to increase those ticket prices because it's going to be a hot ticket. I think they play like on a weekend too. So again, if you start doing this every year, maybe those prices come down a little bit. I don't know how much, but I think you understand where I'm getting at with that.
I do think this is sort of beneficial to some of the smaller market teams as well. Like,
true.
You get some of the fans. You mentioned Pittsburgh. They get to go play the Yankees. I mean, Pirates fans will go travel for that. But how often are they going to go travel for just a random game against the Brewers or something like that? And the flip side of it is, if you're playing devil's advocate or you agree with Kevin, how many Yankee fans are sitting there today going, we're going to go play the Reds? Who cares? Why? Like, I don't want to go see the Reds. You want to go see the Reds? I don't want to go see the Reds. I can see that part of it too. Like, does a Cubs game against who's an American League team that you just have no interest in?
The Rays.
Yeah, like the Rays. If they're not any good, is that a team you have to go see? No,
well,
not really.
It's mainly because I don't like their ballpark. Like, to me, it comes down to, like, is your ballpark cool? Like, yeah, you mentioned Yankee Stadium. I'd love to go there, right?
Yeah. But I don't think they're not saying a home and away. Like, I would assume it alternates. So one year, okay, great. The Tigers come to play the Cubs at Wrigley Field. All right, cool.
There's I was thinking when you mentioned that, like, the big market fans, like, yeah, like you said, I don't want to go play. The Yankees don't want to go play the Reds, whatever it is.
They prefer to play the Red Sox every day.
Yeah, but there's, like, if you look at it as like the Cubs, there's Cubs fans everywhere. Yankees fans play the same way, and so you have this subset of Yankees fans in Cincinnati that never get to see the Yankees play because they never go to Cincinnati. This way, they get that chance every year, every other year, however it's structured. The Yankees are going to be there. Their favorite team are going to be there. They'll actually get to watch them play every once in a while versus waiting years and years in between getting any chance, or going to New York or going to some Yankees versus a team that they don't care, that kind of thing, versus traveling to find the Yankees. The Yankees will be going to Cincinnati in that scenario. And I think the fans that are all over the place will actually get that chance now too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe give you a chance to see a lot of former Cubs too. If all these guys sign all over the country, Schwarber, Rizzo, Bryant, Javi, I mentioned the Tigers. Well, you might get to see Javi play. So that's, when your team breaks up, at least you have a chance to go see him play some games in person.
Wasn't it like, I want to say it was this past season, wasn't it the first time that Albert Pujols came back to St. Louis?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like he went literally 10 years between, like, his last game at St. Louis to, coming back finally for their, like, the return or whatever. And I mean, that's that with what they're thinking with this new scheduling thing. I mean, that would change that. And I mean, with the NBA, you see all these former players come back to former teams, and whether you leave on good notes or bad notes, it creates conversation. It gets people talking.
Sure.
And again, that's why I feel like the MLB is wanting to do this. And again, there's pros and there's cons to it. There was someone in the comments saying if they went to like an NBA style scheduling, they need to just do like seeds of like 1 through 6 or 1 through 7 and just kind of remove division winners and just go with like your conference record or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
I could see that happening someday, by the way. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the craziest. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying I don't think that's the craziest idea.
I
I've
don't
heard.
think a lot of people would be up for it. I really
No, I don't either. But I think that's the type of thing that baseball probably tosses around every once in a while when
sure.
they're trying to think of ways to find the game, make the game more interesting for everybody. Maybe that's something they've discussed. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was
we saw how many people were excited to see Chris Bryant come back. Rizzo comes back playing for another team. That's going to be a hot ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you can go see him play in his new ballpark if he doesn't re-sign with the Cubs.
Yeah. I wanted to there was a comment that got posted. I don't know, I remember who it was. But it was like, and this kind of shifts the conversation a little bit. It said if they do this, play every team every year type thing, less division games stuff, someone said that they should go the NBA model and go like I don't know if it was completely correct. I'm pretty sure the 3 division winners are guaranteed at least the top 4 seed. I think it's like the top 3 are ranked in the top 4.
You could take the division
like
winners,
that, but just in
give
that,
them home
in that
field.
sense, like, just like don't. Or I think they were trying to say like, basically like if they don't do this division thing, I think they're saying to give less, I guess less incentive to win the division because you're ranking like wild card teams ahead of division winners and stuff like that because you're not playing your division that much. I'm curious like what your thoughts on that are. Like, would you, if they're not playing their division as much, does winning the division mean much more anymore? Like that's what I'm trying to ask you guys, and that's I think what the comment was asking.
I mean, that's kind of like what I said earlier. It's like you take less games away. Not only does it become harder to win your division, I feel like it does kind of take something away from it. As much as like I'd love to watch the Cubs play other teams, it's that grind for 162 of trying to like win your division is kind of like what baseball fans like the diehards really get up for every April. So, I mean, I'm open to hear other thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. That's just how I feel. And maybe that's my my grandpa Stucky in me. Like, I don't like change. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah, I think a lot of baseball fans don't like change. It's a very traditional sport, rooted around its records and its history and all of those things. And I think as they try to make it more widespread around the world for more people, more fans, younger generations, they're going to have to eventually break down some of those barriers a little bit and force us to like some things. I mean, I never thought I would see in my lifetime interleague play. And I'll be honest with you, at first I was like, no, I don't want any interleague play. I don't need to. That was the cool part about the World Series as a kid was like, you got to see the American League play the National League. You know what? I've adjusted to it. I'm used to interleague play now. And I think it's cool. You get to see other teams at other ballparks. And I don't think it's taken away from division rivalries as much as I thought it was going to. The Cubs fans still hate the St. Louis Cardinals fans, and the St. Louis Cardinals fans still hate Cubs fans and Brewers and in all of those. So I think they should be willing to try anything once and see what, if they do this plan where they're talking about in 23 where you play everybody, cool, do it once. And if it doesn't work in that year and you get bad feedback on it, go back to playing it the way you did before. So I don't know. I just don't think they're all life or death decisions. And I think sometimes we overreact to some of them a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said, you were kind of hesitant to like when interleague play first started, it was like a weird thing. I don't know how many people wanted it, but maybe it was, it felt like too big of a change. I also think in that, expanding interleague play, when we go back to wanting to showcase all of the you got have Mike Trout go all across America instead of just where in his division or in his league. Yeah, again, you look at the NBA. I'm pretty sure like the Bulls would play every team in the West at least twice a year, and then they play out. I think it's outside of their division like 3 to 4 times, and then their division they play 4 times a year. And maybe that kind of messes up the rivalries. I don't think the Bulls in division, like the Pistons rivalry, has kind of faded since the 80s, 90s, and the Bucks. I mean, it's not like true rivals. I don't get that sense in the NBA. Maybe Grayson Allen will help, but it does again help with getting those getting those the superstars all across America and getting them exposure in all these markets that they don't either maybe haven't even gotten a chance to yet, or just they don't get to be in that often.
Yeah, Rachel has a good comment here. She says, I think as well, you want everyone to have a chance to see the big deal guys. Kids can hear all about Ohtani. We haven't mentioned Ohtani being great. But if they actually get to see him, I think they'll make a difference. I mean, yeah, Ohtani won MVP and like did it in the most insane way that I never thought we would see it. I mean, he was a great pitcher and he was one of the best hitters in the league. That's like I don't know if we'll ever, outside of him, will we ever see that again? Or are we going to see more players come up and try and be like him, like a two-way player like that? Right now, you can't say that you are. But the thing is like no one was talking about him last year. And he was like the one chance for MLB to like really market and like get people back into baseball. And, I feel like maybe they just didn't do that. So again, I just, if they can figure out a way to where it doesn't affect divisions or division races, like I could get up for it. It's just very tough for me. Again, I don't like change, but also when we were talking about interleague stuff, I remember when I was a kid, when like you would have like those 2 or 3 weeks in like June or July when they would just do all interleague play. I would always get excited for that. And then it became interleague happening like more frequently. And I just kind of got used to it. But I do, like, I always think back to when I was a kid, whenever I felt like interleague play was always just like one time during the season, like a certain couple weeks or so. And for some reason, I just really like that. So, I'm just stating that as something changed and then I got over it. So,
yeah, no, like Luke said, I mean, like the MLB did the runner on second rule, 7-inning doubleheader rule. They did that for a year, and now they're getting rid of it. Like you said, Luke, like you could try it out in 2023. You get terrible feedback, or it just doesn't work. You can always, go back to the same schedule you got now. So I think testing it out is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to do something, and so giving something a shot isn't the worst thing, at least for a season. You're listening to the CHGO Cubs podcast, or you're watching it live on YouTube as well. And if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us out is help us grow is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make 50 or more in that first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You can get a free t-shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up now available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now, register it, and get your account going from start to finish, all from your phone. That's the way I did it last week. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports book, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
We got some breaking news.
What's that?
Breaking news.
What do we have?
We got Wilson Contreras has arrived at Cubs camp.
You got me so excited. You got me so excited.
Hold on, I gotta
breaking. It's the only news we got. The only news we got right now. He's at camp.
I mean,
it made sense. I guess that makes sense considering why Yan Gomes was the one catching Marcus Stroman's bullpen earlier. Well, here comes Wilson. He's in camp now. He's getting ready. And we haven't talked much about it, but this contract extension, his negotiations and stuff, or arbitration, whatever, that's going to be getting started here soon. So that might be another big storyline of the next 3 weeks until the season starts.
I guess it's good that he arrived. That way we don't go through this controversy of like his contract and everything, like we see like in the NFL and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? And not that I expected him to do something like that. I think we talked about it yesterday, like Wilson Contreras is like, I think he loves this franchise more than any other player. He's at least shows it, like the passion and stuff. That's one thing that I've always loved about him. He just loves being a Cub, and I think that's one reason why fans love him so much and want him to be around. So again, wasn't expecting him to do something like that, but I'm glad that we don't have to talk about that.
No, but he is still going to be one of the big stories this spring. You know, as short as it's going to be, 3.5 weeks, it's still going to be, you know, the everyday questions until he either signs an extension or gets traded. One of those two things is the answer. Like we're going to have the questions, like what's his future with the Cubs, you know? And yeah, we did talk about it yesterday. I remember when he made his first All-Star game and he cried about it. Like first of all, this career and this opportunity means a lot to him. And he's a guy that shot up through the system and has made the most of it, made himself a really good player, a great player. And so I would love to see him come back to the Cubs and be that guy that carries over into the next generation, or as Jed likes to call it, the next great Cubs team. I'd like to see him be on that. But so far it's pretty slow going. You know, we said that this was going to be, everybody expected fast and furious. Why has it been so slow? Everything, like signings, trades, kind of slow.
I think especially that first day, like if the deals were going down, like no one wanted to get even rumors of, was there tampering going on? Were they talking during the lockout? Not even the rumors. And, you know, with people still showing up to spring training, you know, players aren't even, the mandatory reporting date isn't even till tomorrow. So maybe that's what slowed things down. Like they're just kind of really just getting the logistics of spring training settled and getting everyone down to their training site. So I think it's just, I don't want to say it's like owners are holding out or teams are holding out on signing free agents or something like that. I think it's just logistically. Oh, fine.
That's my bad, guys. Finger slipped.
Joey fell asleep at the wheel all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I just think logistically, again, it's just getting people down, getting your own people, your own players down to spring training, and then figuring out free agents as you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to just a guess, but I feel like because first of all, I think general managers had an idea of what they wanted to do, but they didn't know how much money they were necessarily going to have. And because it happened quickly and with everybody coming at one time, and there was still this massive pile of free agents, and they have to be signed in this short amount of time, we expected it to be quick, but it's been exactly the opposite because the conversations have been multiplied by 5. Nobody wants to miss out on a great deal that slipped through the cracks and they could have had it. So there's a lot of conversations, and maybe it's actually leading to the opposite result, which is slowing things down for the first couple of days, where guys are just having those talks and saying, don't sign a deal because I still want to talk to you. And so players are reluctant on their end as well. They want to get back, but their agents are like, listen, we still might have 2 or 3 teams we can play this to. So, you know, they're trying to fit a whole offseason sort of into just a couple weeks, and maybe it's having the opposite effect of what we thought it might. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I expected, but again, it goes back to you're not supposed to be talking to players during the lockout. So really, it's not like they've been, like you said, the offseason, they didn't really have that offseason before Thursday. So now they're trying to fit it all in right now, and you know, players are probably waiting to hear offers from everywhere. You know, Carlos Correa is trying to get that $350 million contract or whatever it could be, and waiting for a team to offer that to him. You know, some of these players maybe they're the ones holding out and trying to see if they can get better offers anywhere.
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ryan.
No, you're good. You're good. I was done.
I do think that I remember seeing a tweet yesterday that a lot of talks were revolving around like pitchers and stuff like that. So I know we've seen a few arms get picked up in the last 48 hours or so. But for a guy like Rizzo, for example, he's not going to get signed until Freeman signs, and I know the Dodgers are heavy on him right now.
Wouldn't that be unbelievable if he goes to the Dodgers?
I don't want to think about it, to be honest with you. I really don't. And then no, I honestly feel like when Correa signs, then we'll see like a domino effect with everyone else as well. And maybe as far as like infielders at least. And then, maybe when Schwarber or Castellanos goes is like, then we'll see more outfielders go. You know what I mean? I think those are the top two guys, and Chris Bryant is obviously. I just think that these top guys, they've been waiting three months now through this lockout. I guess in their eyes, maybe there's like, what's a few more days? Like, let's try and get the best. Get
a few more million. What's the difference?
And they're all like, they've been through spring training and all that. They're all veterans. They know what they need to do to be ready for a season. It's not like they're 1 or 2 year guys. They're these are like stable veterans. We know what we're going to get out of them and stuff. So, again, it is surprising. It is surprising to see, because I really thought that we would just see a frenzy of it. I mean, we were all excited. Remember the lockout ended and free agency opened at 6 p.m. We hopped on the podcast and we're like, this thing's about to go crazy. You guys ready? Like I was ready, man.
You got a deal and you got a deal. And like, oh, you get this and you get this.
Right. And then just nothing happened. I mean, I think it was Martin Perez was the first one off the board or someone like that, I think is what his name was. And yeah, it's been a buzzkill the last couple, the last 24 hours or so. But I don't know, man. I think before we do our show on Monday, I think we'll at least see one big name, and then hopefully that kickstarts everyone.
I'm also wondering like who is going to get that Craig Kimbrell 2019. Like he doesn't sign until June. Like that could theoretically happen, and especially with the lockout pushing everything back to right now. Like there might be a group of players, a handful of players that don't sign until the season already starts. So I don't know that that's true, but it could happen. Craig Kimbrell, one of the a Hall of Fame closer, didn't get signed until June. So yeah, that could happen to a lot of different people, a lot of different players.
Speaking of him, I'm curious. The White Sox are still going to try and trade him.
Yeah, people are waiting for that trade, aren't they? That's another one.
I am interested. I think we were talking about it like off air, obviously, a day or two ago about it, and we're like, I mean, I'd take him back. Tommy Hotovy fixed him. He fixed him again. You know what I mean? I mean, not to spew conversation with our fellow Sox fans out there, but I mean, you want to flip a guy back for him? I'm down. We need a guy in the bullpen, man.
Yeah, but you wouldn't send Madrigal back to him.
No, we're not sending Madrigal, but Kimbrell, again, his value is I mean, I think you can argue is as low as it was the first year and a half that he was with the Cubs. So it's like you don't have to send much for him. The Cubs got amazing return considering all things considered when you see how he did after they traded him. So, I think that's a trade we'll be talking about for years to come just because it was with the White Sox. But I feel like at the end of the day, both teams won that one at this point. So
Ryan, or neither team lost.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
We still got to get see what Hoyer and Madrigal can do. I'm of the belief that they can both be very good players for the Cubs, but jury's still out. You got to see him in action on the north side before you could say the Cubs won anything. You got to see those two in action, I think.
Rachel says in the comments, I'd be surprised if Tony got more than we offered in the extension. Heyman has said today that Rizzo isn't the Yankees' first choice. Yeah, I think the Yankees are also in on Freeman as well. So, as they should be. Freeman's the best first baseman on the market. I mean, I wish the Cubs were kind of interested in him as well. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, that's what we were saying last week is when that first got brought up, the name got brought up. I kind of was like, jumped back like, what? Freddie Freeman, come on, no chance. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, it's not the stupidest thing ever. Like, if you're going to spend on Stroman, we're talking about Correa. Why wouldn't we talk
power
about
lefty bat? Yeah. And it's wild because I remember you could go back maybe 3 or 4 years and I felt like you could you could at least argue Rizzo and Freeman being neck and neck. And I think now it's very clear that Freddie Freeman is the best first baseman in the National League. But I do think Rizzo is like right behind him as the next one. So, I'd be happy with either one.
Goldschmidt's pretty good too.
Yeah, Goldschmidt. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
He's
pretty
underrated, honestly. He goes through his stretches. I know this past season Goldschmidt struggled the first couple. Well, I guess you could say the first half, and then just got insanely hot in the second half and kind of finished strong, helped the Cardinals go on that huge run. But
Hey, Ryan, what is the schedule there the next couple days, at least that you know of, before we get going? Just kind of let fans know what we can kind of expect out there.
So I know tomorrow is kind of more of the same. Like, it's players reporting tomorrow, but I think it's a lot more fluid of a situation. As you know, you're going to have players that get there at 8 in the morning. You're going to have players that maybe are strolling. I mean, I don't know who is left to come yet. I haven't, obviously been out there this whole week, but there might be a few stragglers that are coming in a little later. Maybe they, logistically couldn't get here till Sunday, so they might be coming in a little later while other players are already at the field. So I don't know that there's like a set schedule for tomorrow, but I think Monday is when things start really like they're going to have, like I said, they're going to have players hitting BP at this certain time. They're going to have players throwing bullpens at this certain time. I don't have the specifics of that yet, but
that's when you expect that's when you expect Ross to talk and Jed to talk, and sometimes Tom Ricketts. He usually makes a state of the team address. You think all those things might be coming Monday?
Yeah, I believe Monday. I mean, I hope Monday that we have something to talk about on Monday. we'll figure that out.
Hold it till Monday. Well, I'm glad we got your Wi-Fi, fixed at the Four Seasons Scottsdale for you. We that was good news that cleared up on this podcast. You going to the pool after this?
I don't know. We'll see. There's like a convention down there or something. There's a lot of people wearing like the same shirts, and I'm like, maybe I'll go try to figure out what's going on. Maybe I can get myself a shirt too.
Hey, get some free swag and sell some dope merch while you're down there. Hand out a card and be like, dope merch, guys.
There you go.
So we're definitely coming back at least on Monday. We want to thank everybody for dropping in and checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. And in the meantime, of course, Ryan is down there in Arizona. He's going to have fresh content for you coming in all at allchgo.com. We will definitely see you Monday. If something crazy happens, we'll see you before then. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And go Cubs, go, guys.